Have you ever noticed how cheese is present in practically everything we eat? At breakfast, in a quick sandwich, on pasta at lunch, as an afternoon snack, and even in a dinner salad. It seems like a harmless, even comforting food. After all, who can resist a piece of cheese melting on warm bread? But here's the hard truth: the same food that brings immediate pleasure may be silently accelerating your body's aging process. The problem is that cheese carries a misleading reputation. It's marketed as a source of calcium, protein, and even as part of a sophisticated diet. Advertisements, family recipes, and even doctors from generations past have reinforced this idea. But modern science is revealing something few dare to talk about. For those over 60, cheese can become a daily health saboteur. What seems like an innocent choice may be slowly shortening your vitality. Imagine your arteries as a system of pipes that bring life to every cell. Now imagine something viscous and fatty being poured into them every day in small doses. Over time, these pipes begin to lose space, circulation becomes more difficult, and risks increase without warning. Heart attacks, high blood pressure, fragile bones, loss of energy, all of these could be fueled by a seemingly harmless piece of cheese on your plate. And it doesn't stop there. There are common cheese-eating mistakes that most people completely overlook. Mistakes that go far beyond simple quantity. They're hidden habits in our daily lives, seemingly insignificant details that add up and turn into serious problems for the heart, brain, intestines, and even our bones. Many older adults believe they're doing the best for their health by having cheese as a constant presence, when in fact, they're silently setting a trap for their own bodies. Throughout this video, you'll discover the 7 most dangerous cheese-related mistakes that could be sabotaging your health after 60. Plus, you'll learn how to avoid them without sacrificing the pleasure of eating well. We'll translate science into simple explanations, show practical alternatives, and reveal truths that rarely reach the general public. It's natural to ask yourself, am I also making these mistakes? This doubt is the first step toward change. The simple act of questioning what seems normal opens the door to healthier aging, with more energy, fewer risks, and a better quality of life. If you believe that truthful information can save lives, including your own, then help spread this message. Like this video now and strengthen the reach of this content. Many people your age still don't know that cheese can be a silent enemy. Your like could be the push they need to wake up. Get ready, what you're about to discover could forever change the way you view cheese on your plate. When we think of something dangerous for the heart, fried foods, trans fats, and ultra-processed sweets immediately come to mind. But almost no one suspects that a seemingly harmless slice of cheese could be silently contributing to clogged arteries. This is the first big mistake many make, ignoring the amount of saturated fat hidden in cheese. The science is clear. Cheese is among the highest sources of saturated fat in the modern diet. This type of fat raises LDL cholesterol, known as bad cholesterol, which is responsible for forming plaques that build up on the walls of blood vessels. Think of it as a pipe narrowing from the inside, leaving less room for blood to circulate. The result? More pressure, more strain on the heart, and a higher risk of heart attack or stroke. The scariest thing is that we're not talking about absurd excesses. Just 1 or 2 slices a day can already represent a considerable amount of saturated fat. And contrary to popular belief, the body doesn't burn this fat easily. It builds up silently over the years. What starts as an innocent breakfast habit can become a real threat after 60, when the body no longer responds as efficiently. And make no mistake, cheese is considered lighter, like mozzarella, still contains significant amounts of saturated fat. For people who already have high blood pressure, a family history of heart disease, or high cholesterol, every extra serving is like adding fuel to the fire. Imagine someone who spends their entire life believing that a slice of cheese won't do any harm. When they reach 65, tests begin to show uncontrolled cholesterol, hardened arteries, and a doctor urgently recommends a change in diet. At this point, many wonder, how did this happen if I never overdid it? The answer often lies in the slow, almost imperceptible accumulation over decades. And here's the most important point: it's not about demonizing the food, but about recognizing the hidden dangers. What's harmful isn't just the obvious excess, but the constant and silent consumption. It's the habit of believing that cheese can be used as a substitute for lean protein, as a snack base, as a pasta filling.
as a side dish for almost anything. This repetitive habit, combined with natural aging, turns into a veritable cardiovascular trap. But you'd be mistaken if you thought that cheese's biggest risk is simply the accumulation of fat in the arteries. There's another villain lurking within that attacks even more insidiously, especially for those over 60: excess salt. And it can be present even in the most innocent-looking cheeses. If the heart already suffers from saturated fat, the second mistake when consuming cheese is even more insidious: hidden salt. Many believe that the problem with salt lies only in the salt shaker we use at the table. But the reality is that most of the sodium we consume comes not from what we add to food, but from what's already incorporated into prepared foods. And cheese is the champion of this fantasy. Just look at aged cheeses like Parmesan, Provolone, and Gorgonzola. The strong flavor that so many people love comes precisely from a high concentration of salt used to preserve and intensify the flavor. But this detail, which seems merely pleasing to the palate, takes a heavy toll on the body after 60. Excess sodium raises blood pressure, promotes fluid retention, and puts a strain on the kidneys, which already function more slowly with age. To better visualize, imagine that a serving of Parmesan cheese can contain as much sodium as an entire bag of processed chips. The difference is that cheese, because it carries this image of a natural food, goes unnoticed. Many seniors sprinkle grated cheese generously over pasta, soups, and salads, unaware that, with just a few spoonfuls, they're already exceeding the recommended salt intake for the entire day. And the science is clear. Hypertension is one of the biggest risk factors for stroke, heart failure, and cognitive decline. Small daily excesses of salt, accumulated over the years, are enough to turn elastic, healthy arteries into rigid, narrow tubes. That's why someone who's never overdone it is sometimes surprised by high numbers on their blood pressure monitor. Another critical point is fluid retention. Anyone over 60 knows how ankles and feet can swell at the end of the day. This retention isn't just aesthetic. It's a sign that the body is overworked, that the heart and kidneys are struggling to cope with the excess. And cheese, especially cured and smoked cheese, directly contributes to this problem, even when consumed in small amounts. And here's the most dangerous trap: the salt in cheese can't be seen. It doesn't shine, it doesn't appear as crystals. It's mixed into the food's structure, invisible to the eye. That's why it's so easy to lose track of how much you're consuming. This error, combined with saturated fat, creates a silent time bomb that can harm both the heart and kidneys. But you'd be wrong to think that cheese's impact on those in their 60s ends there. There's one effect that takes many by surprise. While many believe cheese strengthens bones, science shows it may actually be contributing to weakening them. For decades, we've heard the same message: drink milk and eat cheese for strong bones. This phrase has been repeated in advertising campaigns, textbooks, and even medical recommendations. But the truth that modern science is revealing is quite different, and it may surprise you. For those over 60, consuming cheese with the belief that it strengthens bones can be a serious mistake. It's a fact, cheese contains calcium. But it also contains other elements that end up canceling out or even reversing this benefit. Among them are excess sodium and animal proteins, which promote the elimination of calcium through urine. In other words, instead of storing calcium in the bones, the body ends up eliminating much of it, leaving the skeleton more fragile over time. Imagine the following scenario: a 68-year-old woman, concerned about her bone health after hearing about osteoporosis, decides to increase her cheese consumption. She believes she's protecting herself, but tests conducted years later show just the opposite: reduced bone density, a higher risk of fractures, and a diagnosis of osteopenia. What seemed like a preventative measure has, unbeknownst to her, become a dietary trap. The process is silent. Unlike a stomach ache or high blood pressure, which can be detected with a device, bone loss doesn't show immediate signs. It happens gradually, year after year. Often, it's only discovered when the first fracture occurs after a simple fall, a stumble at home, or a slip in the bathroom. That's when the severity becomes apparent. Fragile bones after 60 can mean loss of independence, limited mobility, and even life-threatening. Another little discussed point is the relationship between the acidity generated by animal-based foods, such as cheese, and the body's need to neutralize this environment. To balance its pH, the body removes basic minerals from the bones, including calcium.
This natural mechanism, repeated daily, becomes another pathway for skeletal wear and tear. Of course, this isn't about eliminating calcium from your diet. On the contrary, it's essential. But the smart path isn't to rely on cheese. Dark green vegetables, seeds, legumes, and even some fruits offer calcium in significant amounts, without the side effect of bone loss. The difference lies in the source. While the calcium in cheese can be accompanied by sodium and proteins that expel it from the body, the calcium in plant foods integrates more harmoniously into the metabolism. This misconception that cheese is the main defense against osteoporosis is one of the most common and dangerous after 60. And worse, it prevents many people from seeking real solutions, delaying effective measures until it's too late. And if bones are already at risk from cheese consumption, there's another system that pays a high and immediate price: the intestine. And the impact can be much greater than simple digestive discomfort. While our bones suffer in silence, our intestines often scream, but we can't always interpret its signals. A critical mistake when consuming cheese is believing it has no digestive impact. For those over 60, this is a dangerous trap, as the body changes over time, and one detail in particular makes all the difference: the natural reduction of the enzyme lactase. Lactase is responsible for breaking down lactose, the sugar found in milk and, consequently, in cheese. When we're young, most of us produce a good amount of this enzyme. But as we age, production drops dramatically. The result: every slice of cheese can lead to intestinal discomfort, even if you don't immediately associate it. The most common symptoms are gas, bloating, abdominal pain, and constipation. Many believe these are just normal symptoms of aging, when in fact they are signs of lactose intolerance. The danger lies in ignoring these warnings from your body and continuing to consume cheese daily. This constant stress on the gut goes beyond discomfort. It inflames the intestinal wall and harms the microbiota, the community of good bacteria that protects our immunity. Think of the gut as a garden. When healthy, it flourishes with diversity, maintaining balance throughout the body. But when excess cheese causes inflammation and favors bad bacteria, this garden begins to wither. Immunity declines, nutrient absorption becomes less efficient, and even mood can be affected. After all, much of the production of serotonin, the feel-good hormone, occurs in the gut. And here's the most worrying detail: many elderly people facing chronic constipation turn to medications and laxatives, unaware that part of the root of the problem lies in the food itself, disguised as healthy food. It's common to hear stories of people who spend years battling digestive problems, only to discover, after eliminating cheese, that their bowels return to normal functioning. This cycle of intestinal inflammation has a cascading effect. An overloaded gut affects immunity, increases vulnerability to infections, and promotes inflammatory conditions that accelerate aging. In other words, each piece of cheese can not only cause immediate discomfort but also silently compromise the body's vital defenses. And if the gut suffers, the whole body suffers. It's as if every system is hit in a chain reaction: less energy, less protection, more wear and tear. And this brings us to another crucial point: besides overloading the gut, cheese can also rob you of your daily energy, turning meals that should be nourishing into veritable metabolic burdens. Eating should be synonymous with energy, vitality, and disposition. However, many seniors report the opposite: tiredness after meals, drowsiness that leaves them on the couch, and a lack of energy for simple activities. What few realize is that cheese may be at the heart of this problem. This is another mistake, believing that cheese is nourishing when, in fact, it may be sapping your energy. The reason lies in the way the body processes this food. Cheese is rich in fat and slow-digesting animal protein. To transform this combination into usable energy, the body has to work extra hard. The stomach takes longer to empty, the intestines are pushed to their limits, and the liver is overwhelmed metabolizing fats. The result: the body diverts energy to digestion instead of making it available for movement, thought, and life. It's as if, after eating cheese, you've unwittingly put on a backpack full of rocks. This invisible load weighs you down for hours, turning meals into obstacles instead of fuel. And for those over 60, when metabolism naturally slows down, the effect is even more intense. Besides fatigue, there's another critical factor: silent weight gain. A slice here, a piece there, and the calorie accumulation adds up. Cheese is energy-dense but low in fiber, meaning it provides little satiety and is very deceptive. The body receives extra calories without receiving enough nutrients to rejuvenate cells and tissues. Over time, this translates into abdominal fat accumulation, increased insulin resistance, and a higher risk of type 2 diabetes. And don't think that only the physical body pays the price. Digestive overload can result in a slower mind, difficulty concentrating, and even mood swings. The explanation is simple. When energy is diverted to dealing with difficult digestion, there's less left for other vital functions, including the brain. It's no coincidence that so many people report mental fog or a heavy mind after cheese-laden meals. And here's a worrying detail: often, this feeling of low energy leads to a search for more food, usually fast carbs or even more cheese. It's a vicious cycle. You eat for energy, but the result is the opposite: more fatigue and more fat accumulation. This process, repeated daily, can accelerate aging. The body begins to live in a state of constant overload, like a car that's always running at high revs, wearing out parts prematurely. When we think about the risks of cheese, we almost always think of our heart, cholesterol, or our ever-growing belly. But there's a quieter, much more delicate area that also suffers: the brain. This is a big mistake, believing that cheese only affects the physical body, when in fact it can influence how we think, remember, and feel. The explanation lies in the composition of ultra-processed cheeses, increasingly present on our tables. Processed sliced cheeses, cream cheeses in boxes, and cheese-like products contain hidden additives, preservatives, colorings, and even trans fats. These substances silently inflame the body, including the brain. Studies show that diets high in saturated fat and sodium are associated with a higher risk of cognitive decline. Excessive intake of these nutrients can affect cerebral circulation, reducing oxygenation to areas crucial for memory. It's as if the brain were gradually turning off the lights, compromising essential functions without giving immediate warning. In the long term, this process is linked to neurodegenerative diseases such as Alzheimer's and Parkinson's. While not the only factor, frequent consumption of ultra-processed cheese, combined with other harmful habits, creates fertile ground for these problems to emerge. For those over 60, when the brain's natural protection begins to decline, this risk becomes even more significant. But it's not just memory that suffers. Many report a feeling of heaviness in the mind, difficulty concentrating, and mood swings. Cheese, by interfering with the balance of the gut microbiota and neurotransmitter metabolism, can directly affect mental well-being. It's no wonder some studies call the gut the second brain. When it's inflamed, the reflexes manifest as anxiety, irritability, and even depression. Imagine someone who eats cheese every day, believing they're just enjoying something delicious. Years later, they begin to notice frequent forgetfulness, lapses in attention, and even difficulty learning new things. Unbeknownst to them, they may be contributing to this situation with seemingly innocent food choices. And here's the most shocking revelation: cheese not only causes brain inflammation but can also create a kind of dependence. A chemical mechanism makes it difficult to give up, even when we're already aware of the risks. And this is precisely the final mistake, perhaps the most insidious of all: the silent addiction that keeps so many people hooked on cheese without realizing it. Before we continue, I want to hear from you. Have you ever found it difficult to cut cheese from your diet? Share your experience in the comments. Your answer may help others realize they're not alone in this struggle. Did you know that cheese can create a type of chemical dependency? This is the seventh critical mistake. Many seniors don't realize they're unintentionally addicted to it. The culprit is casein, a protein found in milk and, consequently, in cheese. During digestion, casein breaks down into peptides that act on the brain similarly to mild opioids, creating feelings of pleasure and comfort. The effect is simple to understand. Each bite of cheese activates reward circuits in the brain, releasing small doses of dopamine, the pleasure neurotransmitter. Anyone over 60 who maintains old eating habits may find themselves drawn to cheese several times a day, even knowing the risks to their bones, heart, or intestines. This chemical attraction is subtle but persistent, and explains why cutting out cheese can be so difficult. The most insidious part is that this addiction happens silently. There are no dramatic outward signs, no one develops visible withdrawal symptoms, tremors, or crises, but the mind creates strong associations. Eating cheese becomes a comfort, an automatic reward after a tiring day or an incomplete meal. And the more recurrent the habit, the harder it becomes to break the cycle. But there is hope. Recognizing the pattern is the first step to regaining control over your diet. Smart substitutions, such as plant-based cheeses made from nuts, seasoned tofu, or seed pâtés, can provide palate pleasure without the risks associated with traditional cheese. The idea isn't to eliminate flavor, but to offer alternatives that nourish the body and respect the limits of metabolism and digestion. Furthermore, small strategies help retrain the palate. Gradually reducing portions, including natural seasonings for flavor, and increasing fiber and water intake, all of these habits reduce dependence on casein and allow the brain to slowly adjust. Over time, the desire to eat cheese diminishes naturally, without suffering. The crucial point is to understand that this addiction isn't a failure of willpower. It's a chemical response of the body and brain, amplified by decades of habit. Knowing this changes your perspective. Cutting out cheese stops being a sacrifice and becomes an act of self-care, protecting your heart, bones, gut, and brain all at once. And now that you know the 7 critical cheese mistakes, there's a practical path forward, discovering safe alternatives that bring pleasure without harm. That's what we'll explore next, showing concrete solutions that really work for those who want to live with health and vitality after 60. After understanding the 7 most dangerous cheese mistakes, the question arises: how can you continue to enjoy your meals without compromising your health? The answer lies in smart alternatives. Replacing cheese with foods that nourish and protect the body is possible, pleasurable, and completely accessible for those over 60. One option is plant-based cheeses made from nuts, such as almonds or cashews. They offer a creamy texture and pleasant flavor without excess saturated fat or sodium. They're also rich in healthy fats, fiber, and antioxidants, which help protect the heart, strengthen bones, and improve digestion. Another alternative is seasoned tofu, which provides high-quality protein without overloading the intestines. Seed pâtés and grain pastes also add flavor and texture, while strengthening the gut microbiota and helping with satiety. Interestingly, these substitutions not only avoid the problems of traditional cheese but also add additional benefits. For example, increasing your consumption of nuts and seeds provides magnesium, zinc, and B vitamins, nutrients often lacking in the diets of older adults and essential for energy, bones, and brain function. A practical example: imagine a 65-year-old woman who loved adding grated cheese to her meals. By swapping it for nut cheese and adding pumpkin seeds to her dish, she noticed, within a few weeks, improved digestion, more energy throughout the day, and less fluid retention. Small changes, but with a direct impact on well-being and quality of life. Another valuable tip is to be creative in the kitchen. Natural seasonings like fresh herbs, garlic, smoked paprika, or nutritional yeast can replace the strong flavor of cheese without compromising your health. Gradually incorporating these alternatives helps your palate adjust, making the transition smooth and enjoyable. The most important thing is to realize that these substitutions aren't just a matter of taste. They represent conscious choices that strengthen your entire body, heart, bones, gut, and brain. By adopting nutritious alternatives, you're protecting your body from decades of silent accumulation of fat, sodium, and harmful additives. And if these choices are already powerful, there's a complementary strategy that enhances the results, gradually reducing cheese consumption, training your palate, and avoiding withdrawal symptoms or intense cravings. This simple and practical technique is the next step toward a healthier life. Cutting out cheese abruptly may seem impossible. Many older adults who are already accustomed to it experience immediate resistance, cravings arise, taste buds complain, and the feeling of missing something can lead to frustration. Therefore, the best approach is smart reduction, a gradual process that allows the body and mind to adapt without suffering. The first step is to identify the situations where cheese appears daily and reduce it in small portions. For example, if you usually add grated cheese to every meal, gradually reduce the amount until you replace it with healthier alternatives, such as crushed nuts, nutritional yeast, or small portions of seasoned tofu. This slow transition helps your palate adjust without feeling like you're losing flavor. Another key point is using natural seasonings. Garlic, fresh herbs, smoked paprika, or a drizzle of extra virgin olive oil can provide the strong flavor that cheese used to provide. The mind associates the pleasure of the meal with the full flavor, not just the presence of cheese. This change reduces cravings and makes the process more sustainable. Proper hydration also plays an important role. Drinking water throughout the day helps reduce fluid retention and aids digestion, reducing the feeling of bloating often mistakenly attributed to aging. Furthermore, including fiber in your diet, found in vegetables, fruits, and seeds, promotes satiety and keeps your gut healthy, complementing the gradual reduction in cheese intake. The goal of this strategy isn't to create restriction, but rather to educate your palate. After a few weeks of practice, the intense craving for cheese naturally diminishes, and the feeling of pleasure returns to full, nutritious meals. The change becomes part of your lifestyle, without suffering or frustration. And here's the kicker: by gradually reducing your cheese consumption, you create space in your diet for foods that truly strengthen the body. Vegetables, fruits, legumes, and seeds take center stage, providing essential nutrients for the heart, bones, gut, and brain, precisely the areas most affected by excessive cheese consumption. This smart transition ensures you not only avoid the risks associated with cheese but also build habits that promote vitality, energy, and longevity. It's a simple step, but one that can completely redefine the way you age. And beyond gradual reduction, there's a powerful path: strengthening the body with foods that truly rejuvenate, protecting natural defenses and promoting overall health. Once you understand the risks of cheese and implement smart reduction strategies, you have the opportunity to transform your diet into a true health ally. The secret isn't just to avoid harmful ingredients, but to include foods that strengthen the body, protect the heart, bones, intestines, and brain, promoting longevity and well-being for those over 60. Berries, such as strawberries, blackberries, and blueberries, are powerful allies. They contain antioxidants that fight free radicals, helping reduce inflammation and protect vital cells. Cruciferous vegetables, such as broccoli, kale, and cabbage, provide essential minerals and bioactive compounds that strengthen bones and aid detoxification. Legumes, such as beans, lentils, and chickpeas, offer quality protein, fiber, and magnesium, promoting satiety and intestinal health. Seeds and nuts also come into play, providing good fats, zinc, and selenium, nutrients that protect the heart and brain. The goal is to create varied, colorful, and micronutrient-rich dishes that can replace cheese as a source of pleasure and nutrition. Small adjustments to your daily routine, such as swapping grated cheese for crushed nuts or adding seeds to salads, can yield immediate and noticeable benefits within weeks. Beyond direct nutrition, these foods contribute to overall vitality. More energy throughout the day, regular digestion, stronger bones, protected circulation, and a clear mind are tangible results when the body receives quality fuel. The effect is cumulative: each healthy choice reinforces the previous one, creating a virtuous cycle of health and longevity. The most interesting part is that these changes don't mean sacrifice. On the contrary, they offer pleasure, flavor, and satisfaction. Learning to prepare simple, creative, and nutritious recipes transforms eating into a moment of self-care, free from concerns about saturated fat, sodium, or additives. And now that you know the 7 cheese mistakes, nutritious alternatives, and the smart reduction strategy, there's only one step left: consolidate these choices into your daily routine and turn them into a lasting habit. This final decision is what defines the future of your vitality and quality of life. If you've discovered something new so far, share this video with friends or family who also deserve to age healthily. Your gesture could be the encouragement they need to change their diet. We've reached the most important moment: the decision to transform your health and age with vitality. During this video, you discovered the 7 most common cheese mistakes for those over 60, learned about nutritious alternatives that protect the heart, bones, intestines, and brain, and learned practical strategies to reduce consumption without suffering. Now it's time to consolidate this information into habits that truly make a difference. Aging healthily isn't a matter of luck, but of daily choices. Every meal is an opportunity to strengthen the body, protect natural defenses, and ensure energy, stamina, and mental clarity. Replacing traditional cheese with plant-based options, gradually reducing your intake, and including foods that truly nourish you isn't just a dietary change, it's a life change. Think of the concrete benefits: lower risk of heart attacks and strokes, stronger bones, balanced digestion, a clearer mind, and renewed energy. Every small action you take today adds up to a future of autonomy, vitality, and well-being. It's not about perfection, but about consistency. Small adjustments made every day result in major health gains. And here's the most motivating point: you have complete control over this journey. The knowledge you've acquired now is the tool that allows you to act intelligently, preventing problems that many believe are inevitable after 60. This decision-making power puts you at the center of your own vitality, transforming simple choices into long-term, life-changing actions. If you want to continue receiving practical, reliable, and science-based information on healthy aging, subscribe to the channel now. Turn on notifications so you don't miss exclusive tips, nutrition strategies, and guidance that can revolutionize your quality of life. Every step you take toward conscious eating is another step toward living with energy, clarity, and independence. Remember, healthy aging is the result of daily decisions, applied knowledge, and consistent habits. Avoiding the cheese mistakes, adopting nutritious alternatives, and implementing smart strategies transforms your body into a powerful ally. The choice is in your hands. Make it the foundation of a long, full, and vibrant life.